I'm going to show you how you can take an idea, any idea, make it better, and then turn it into viral content. Check this out. You're going to need a couple things here. First, we're going to need make.com, which I'm using to do all my automations. We're going to use Airtable to basically track and keep track of all our results. We're going to need a couple chat bots like ChatGPT and Perplexity. And of course, we're going to need Slack because this entire automation is entirely powered by Slack. So here's our automation right here. I'm going to walk you through exactly what everything does, and then we're going to go ahead and build this all from scratch. This is really, really cool. Basically, the idea of how this thing works is you type a message into Slack, you use Perplexity AI to do additional research to enrich the content of that idea, and then it's going to take that idea, it's going to summarize it for you, and it's going to create a viral script that you can then go ahead and record and turn that into a video. So let's check out everything that's going on here. I'm going to walk you through each of these modules in make.com, and then we're going to build this all from scratch. So the first thing that's happening here is we've created a custom webhook for Slack. And basically what this is doing, this is just recognizing that we've typed a message into Slack. Now you can see I do have two paths here. And this path on the bottom, I originally started using a voice memo when I did this at first. So if you recorded an audio message into Slack, the rest of the process would work. It would research your idea and then it would turn you into a viral script. But the problem with this is you can see that if we're watching a channel for voice memos, this little icon right here is the clock instead of the lightning bolt. And so what's really great about the lightning bolt is that means that webhook is going to trigger anytime a message gets sent. Now, if we have the clock here for the voice memo, what this means is that we're going to have to run this on a set schedule every 15 minutes or once a day or whatever, and we're not going to get that same instant response that we're looking for. Now, this could be cool. It's really nice just to be able to talk into Slack and have it come up with an idea, but I think the idea of having this be instant as soon as you message it is a lot more powerful, and so that's why I opted to do it this way with the webhook. The only issue is we can't do it with audio. We have to do it with text, but most of us are used to texting anyway, so I don't really think that that's that big a deal. But I'm going to walk you through both flows just in case you want to use the voice memo idea. So basically here, we're just starting with a custom webhook that's reading a Slack channel and is recognizing when we get a message. Next, really basic message here. I've just had a hang tight message that gets sent back to the user in Slack. This is just letting them know that, okay, we've received your idea, we're working on it. Basically next, I've set this variable to split out the light bulb. I chose to start my ideas in Slack with a light bulb. That way we don't have to look at every message getting sent to make.com. We can just look at ones that start with the light bulb. I decided to split out the text so that way we're not getting the light bulb in our table. You can see here at first it started out when I was recording the original text. It would say :bulb : which is how it's recognized in Slack, and then the idea. And I didn't want that. And so I kind of just asked make.com just to take it out. The next thing that happens is I set this variable. And this variable right here is the text that's coming out of this webhook at the end. So this is the message that the user is inputting. And the reason I did it this way is for testing purposes. And so that way we don't have to go into Slack every time and type a new idea. If we want to test the rest of this flow, we can just come in here and type an idea. And so we can make the rest of the thing happen without having to go back and forth between Slack. Like we could say, a video on AI automation. So we can just hard code this in so that it runs through the process so we don't have to go back and forth. For now, I'm just going to keep this as I had it with the text coming from the webhook. The next thing that happens is we're messaging a ChatGPT assistant. And I've created just a couple of assistants in ChatGPT, which I absolutely love. You can think of them as a custom GPT or your own virtual assistant. What's really great and powerful about these is that instead of hard coding in like the prompt for ChatGPT, you basically create these agents. And if we come over here, you can see I have this one-liner agent, and basically it just says, objective, generate a brief and captivating summary with a maximum length of 50 characters based on the provided data. The summary should be impactful, informative, and capture the core essence of the content. And now what's really great about this is that I can have a whole bunch of make.com scenarios all linked up to this one-liner agent. And if I want to make changes or update the agent, instead of having to go into every one of my make.com scenarios, I can just come into this assistant right here and update it, and it gets updated, ripples across through every scenario that uses this agent. So that's really powerful. I've just plugged in the idea here. The next thing we have is this Perplexity primer. This is basically creating a prompt for Perplexity to do research. So basically, this just says you are an AI agent tasked with creating a clear and concise prompt for Perplexity AI. Your input will be text discussing a specific topic. Your job is to analyze the text and generate a prompt that will instruct Perplexity to search the web and gather the top 5 most recent facts, et cetera, et cetera. You can go ahead and copy and paste that what you want. Basically, what this is doing is this is giving the prompt to Perplexity, and it's saying, hey, we have this text here based on this idea, like go do more research for us. This is a really great way to enrich our content. So it's not just based off of like a 1-sentence idea, like, hey, I want to create a video about AI automations. Perplexity, if we put that in, will then go search the web, figure out what people are talking about, and come back with more information for us. And here we've just gone ahead and feed it in that primer prompt. We said this must have been released within the last 7 days, so we know that it's current. Don't hallucinate or embellish. We want it to be factual and accurate. We don't want to make stuff up. And then we say, if 5 insights do not exist, only provide those that you can. Your job is to present clear, articulated facts with data if possible. Really great. And then we have the last 2 routes here. Basically, we want to create the viral post. It's going to take the text from the original idea and the additional data here. We're saying make a viral post as per your prompts using the additional research. And again, we're having it message an assistant, which is a short form script writer. Basically, I have this short form script writer here that says you are a viral script writer with 30 years of experience specializing in crafting engaging scripts for short form content. So again, using this whole idea of ChatGPT assistants so that if we want to use these over and over again, we can just message this assistant and we're going to get a really nice output from it. And that way we don't have to overwhelm this prompt message box here. We can just give it a little bit of extra context. And then so the last thing it does after that happens, everything gets fed back into Airtable and it creates the record of this. That way we have a record of the original idea, who created the idea. We can change the status to see if we want to, approve the video or not. It gives us the additional research. It gives us the viral script. And this is a really great way to start building out your content systems if you want to scale your content systems using something like this. And then, if we have the status, if we approved something, presumably it could be sent to another automation to go ahead and create, post for social media like Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever type of copy you want to write. So the last thing that I have it do, the very end, is it basically is going to summarize the research. It's going to summarize the research from Perplexity. It's going to take that output and it's going to send the summary back to the user in Slack. It says the viral post is ready for your approval here, and it's going to link. I just hard coded in the link to the Airtable database that we're storing this, and here it has the result from, with the from the summarizer that basically summarized the research. So basically the way this works, a user inputs an idea, we do a bunch of extra research, we create a viral script, and then the automation will basically give a summary of that research, send it back to the user in Slack and say, hey, your full script is ready to go. This is super, super powerful. If you're on the go, it doesn't matter if you're at your desk or you're at home, you can just type into Slack, send this thing a message, and when you get back home, you'll have a whole bunch of new viral content waiting for you. So let's dive in. We're going to make this thing from scratch. So here we go. We're starting a brand new scenario, make.com. The first thing we're going to want to do is just go ahead and we'll search for webhook. And we're going to create a custom webhook. And this is instant. Again, I like this better than using the voice memo just because it's instant. I don't want to have to wait around for it. I just want to be able to type to it and have it come back with an idea. So what we want to do is we're going to choose a webhook. We're going to go ahead and click add. I'm just going to give this a name. We're just going to type in idea generator. And I'm going to click save. And I'm just going to copy this address to clipboard. There's a couple more things we do. We're going to need to set up a few things in Slack just to make sure this works. This is all triggered via Slack. So we're just going to set that up. I'm going to hop into Slack. This is my own Slack server. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new channel. I'm going to call this idea generator. Let me throw a space in there. Click next. We'll make this a public channel. Although you could do this with a private channel. I'm just going to go ahead and make this public. Or skip. Okay, now we have a new channel. There's one thing you have to add is you have to add the webhooks to Slack itself. And so if you come into tools and settings just by clicking the top here, you can go into manage apps. And it's going to take you over to the web here. It's going to take you over to slack.com. And if you come up to the search bar, you're just going to type in outgoing webhooks. It's going to open up a new page. And right here, this is where we're going to use that webhook that we just created it in make.com right here that we copied to our clipboard. We're going to use this to configure the webhook so that way make.com recognizes whenever we type into Slack. So I'm just going to click add to Slack and add outgoing webhooks integrations. Go here. We're going to scroll down And we need to configure a couple settings, pretty basic. We're going to go here. We're going to come into the idea generator channel that we just created. Trigger words. I had a couple separated by a comma. I use the light bulb in Slack just to trigger, the automation to know that we're actually sending an idea. Because otherwise, like maybe you and whoever else is in your channel, like your team is just messaging back and forth, and you don't want to trigger this automation every time anybody sends any message. So if you trigger it with like an emoji or like, a certain word, you can set that up here. And so I wasn't entirely sure whether it actually used the emoji or if it used the bulb. So I just put them both in here just to be sure, make sure they separated with the comma. And then all you want to do is you want to go ahead and paste in that webhook into this URL section here. Again, this is the webhook that we grabbed from make.com right here. And that's really it. That's all you need. If you want to give it an icon, you can. If you want to give it a new name, you can, but you don't have to. And you're just going to go ahead and click Save Settings. Our settings have been saved. This is great. This should be all totally integrated into Slack right now. And so let's go ahead and let's test this out. I'm just going to click OK here, and I'm just going to click Run once, and you can see that right now this is kind of waiting for an input from Slack. So if we're in our channel here, and I just go ahead and type a light bulb, and I type AI automations for fun. Type that in, and I come back to make.com. You can see this worked. We got a response. Here we go, text bulb, AI automations for fun. You can see who inputted this here. That's me, the channel that it came from, the domain, everything else. The thing that we really care about right here is just this text. So that's really great. This is already working. We're all set up. We can move on to the next thing. So the next thing we want to do is we just want to send a message back, right? So just to let the user know that we have your message, we're working on it. So the next thing we want to do is we're just going to come in here. We're going to type in Slack. Go to show more. We're going to say create a message, and you're going to want to make sure you add your connection to Slack. I'm going to select from the list for the channel name. It's a public channel, and this is in the idea generator channel. And I'm going to say hang tight while we generate your viral content! Exclamation point. Great. Click OK. If we want, we can test this out again. We can click run once, pop back into Slack, send our light bulb, AI automations for viral content. Click OK. Look, you can already see we got our message back. Hang tight while we generate your viral content. That's exactly the message that we said. Again, you can see AI automations for viral content in our output here from the webhook. This is all working great. Let's keep going. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this text right here. What this is doing is this is saying split the text wherever you see the light bulb, and then give me the rest of it, right? I don't want to deal with the light bulb. It's just extra whenever we're logging this later in Airtable. This is just like personal preference. This is just for cleanup. I like to be tidy. This is really up to you. I'm just going to go ahead and copy both of these modules actually. And just so you know, special tip, if you hold shift and then drag and select, you can actually select multiple modules instead of one. So I just copied those. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to paste these, and I'm just going to attach them to the end of our flow. Click the auto align. Now if we come here, we're just going to need to change out this text to the text from the webhook and click OK. And I want to set the same variable from the text from the webhook as well. Actually, in this case, I can just do this original text. We don't need that light bulb anymore. So this is our idea. We're moving forward. What's next? So the next thing we do is we want to get this one-line description, right? One-line description, really basic. It's just saying, hey, like, here's an idea. Give us a one-line description of what this is from the idea. And actually, really, if you wanted to, you can just take that idea, and instead of like sending it to this new agent, you can just use that original idea just to log it in Airtable yourself. You may not even need that extra little one-liner. So actually, you know what? I'm going to skip that step. I actually don't even think it's necessary because I think we can grab that original text. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grab this Perplexity primer, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to copy all the text in here just so we have it. And I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to add another module. I'm going to go to OpenAI. I'm going to say create a completion. Wait for this to finish. Model. I'm going to use GPT-4. Add messages. This is going to be a user message. And here's the content. I'm going to go ahead and paste that content in. Again, remember, this is our primer, just telling it we need you to create a new prompt for Perplexity. I'm going to go ahead and grab the idea from idea here. And I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. And so what's really cool about this, the last thing it's asking me to do, you want to make sure you set the max tokens. If you just type in 0, it's actually going to use the maximum amount of tokens. You can see the limit of the model will be used. So that way you don't have to know how many tokens like the model can possibly use. So I'm just going to click OK here. So again, what's really great about this now is it's really powerful. Instead of going back and forth to Slack, we can actually just begin here by hard coding in this variable. So we can say AI automations for viral content, and this becomes our idea moving forward. And so really, I can just grab this and I can unlink these, and we can now start here and we can just relink these later. And so if I run this once, you can see our output here is AI automations for viral content, and that's exactly what we fed into ChatGPT. And you can come down here and see the results. Search the web for the latest information on AI automations for viral content. Provide the top 5 most recent facts, insights, or updates on this topic. This is really great. This is just going to speed up our workflow, and instead of hopping back and forth, you get the idea. So the next thing, let's set up Perplexity, right? This is where we get all the magic, all the extra results, really enriching our data. So instead, it's like you have this idea, but like you don't necessarily know everything about it, but Perplexity can go ahead and do this research for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that prompt. I'm going to come over back to our scenario. I'm going to type in Perplexity after we add a module, create a chat completion. This model is fine. Max tokens, I don't know, 4096. We're never going to use that much for this. Add a message here. Here's our content. I'm just going to paste it when we said the news must have been released within the last 7 days, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just going to go ahead and take this idea from the variable we set. And what's really great, again, once we relink this to the webhook, this will just flow really easy. And we're just going to say user message and go ahead and click OK. And we can run this again if we want. Let's run this once. You're going to need to set up your own Perplexity account with the API. The API is super, super cheap. I think I put in like $5 a month ago and like have barely tapped any of it. So these APIs are actually really cheap to run. So again, we set our variable, AI automations for viral content. We have the prompt for Perplexity, and now we put this into Perplexity. Now if we come down here into choices, message, content, to create viral content using AI automation, here are some key insights from recent sources. Leveraging AI for content creation and analysis. AI tools can generate content ideas quickly, analyze trends, and optimize content for various platforms. Emotional triggers and timing, AI-driven content strategy. So again, look at all this research Perplexity did for us in literally seconds. This would have taken us so long to figure this out on our own, but now we don't even have to do that. We can just have Perplexity do it for us. It's really insanely powerful. This will work for any idea you have. You could have 30 ideas a day and just type them into Slack, and it's going to come out with a whole bunch of stuff for you. So let's keep going. So after this, we have our router. Basically, it's going to create our post. And also after that, it's going to message the user back saying, hey, we finished the task. You're good to go. So if we come in here, I'm just going to grab this text again, and I'm just going to pop back into our module. First, click the plus. We can just type in router, add a router. Our module here is going to be OpenAI. We want to message an assistant in this case, and I've already built out this assistant. If you want, you just have to come into platform.openai.com. You can create this assistant yourself. Again, this is the short form script writer. It gives us the context, the value, mini hooks to lead us to the next thing, and some examples of basically how this works. I'm building out a school community. I'm going to include all of these prompts for you guys so you don't have to build them yourself. And I'm even going to include the blueprints for these make.com scenarios so that you can just come in, load the blueprints up yourself. You can click import blueprint, grab the JSON file, and this will just pop up for you. So we're just messaging our script writing assistant right now. This is for short form. I also have an assistant for long form content. So if we're making videos for YouTube as opposed to TikTok or Instagram, sometimes it takes a second to load, but I'm just going to go ahead and scroll all the way to our short form script writer here. This is still a user, and I'm just going to paste in that message that we had before. We want to make sure we grab our idea from the idea text, and instead of this, I'm just going to delete that, and we're going to go and grab the message content from the Perplexity module right here, and that's all we need. I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. And we're good to go here. We can continue to run this again. If we want to run this one more time, let's go ahead and do that just to see what our results is. So again, Perplexity is researching our ideas for AI automations. This will change once we connect it to the webhook. Let's just give that a second to run. You can see it's sending this over to ChatGPT right now, which is writing the script based off of the prompt in our assistant, and it's going to come back with a really solid result. And before we build out the Airtable, I'm going to go ahead and build out the rest of the scenario just so we can get our message back to Slack. But you can see here, if we come down to the result, we can say, all right, let's dive into how AI can seriously up your viral content game. So AI tech these days is nuts. From analyzing past posts to predicting future trends, AI can be your best friend for creating viral content, et cetera, et cetera. Imagine knowing exactly what your followers want to see. But wait, it gets better. I love these mini hooks. It kind of keeps your attention. It draws you in. Really powerful stuff here. So this is the viral script. It's really great. I'm really happy with it. Let's finish out this automation. Let's get everything into Airtable. Let's get rocking and rolling. Last thing we want to do, we just want to summarize the research, and then we want to send a message back. Basically, I did it this way so that it runs, the viral script happens first, so that it totally is finished with everything. It summarizes this, and then it messages the user. So once everything is done, then it messages the user. You can see this is the first branch. This is the second branch here. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and come here, and you can see this is just summarizing the research, right? So it's just summarizing everything from this Perplexity model. So we can just come in here, go into OpenAI. We're going to message an assistant. Again, I have a little summarizer assistant. We can pop back over here. Let me see if I can find it. I got a whole mess of assistants here. Go ahead and load more. So here we go, summarizer agent, right? You'll be given an article to read and understand thoroughly. Your task is to analyze the content and create a concise summary that contains the key points and main ideas discussed. The summary should be informative, helpful, and straight to the point with a maximum length of 35 words. So you can see how this would be a really great thing to send back to someone in Slack once they have their idea. So I'm just going to go ahead, scroll down to the bottom, select our summarizer agent. We want the message just to be the message right here from the research module. And we're just going to go ahead and click OK. Once that's done, we want to create another message in Slack. Create a message. We want to select the channel from the list here. It's a public channel. Back into our idea generator. And the text is just going to be the result from the summary. And if we want, we can say you can find the final result and link to the Airtable. You can basically say whatever you want. Right now, I'm just going to include the text as a result. If you have a database like Airtable set up, like you likely know where to find it. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK, and that's done. So the last thing we really need to do is we need to set up our Airtable just so that we can kind of categorize all these results. So I'm just going to pop over into Airtable here. I'm going to create a new workspace. I'm going to call this idea generator. And of course, we're going to have our little light bulb and go ahead and click create. I'm going to start from scratch. We can title our base the same way, idea generator. Table 1 is fine. And there's a couple things we need. We want the idea, the originator, basically that's the user who put it in, the original text, so their query, the research from Perplexity, the script, and then the status. So basically this is really great. These are just kind of like long form blocks, and the status is the status. Really easy to create. So I'm just going to go ahead, edit this field, and we can call this idea. Just going to make this long text, click save. You can see we have, going to edit this one. We can call this originator. Click save. I don't need the assignee. Duplicate this field. Original text. So this is just going to be the text grabbed from the idea that the person posts into Slack. We want the research and the viral script as the last two things. So I'm just going to duplicate this again. Call this research. Little magnifying glass. That's great. Going to duplicate this one more time and call this viral script. Sure, with the little fire. Everybody loves an emoji. And status, if we want to edit status, we can just edit this. We can say declined. Ready for review. And approved. So this is really great. This is just the beginnings of kind of like a content database. Again, if you want to set up more automations later, like once you click approve on something, maybe it sends it through a whole new list of things. So this is triggered. This is all set up and ready to go. I'm just going to come back in here. On top of our first route, I'm just going to search for Airtable. I'm going to create a record. Find our database. Make sure you connect this to Airtable. If you need, you just click add and link that to Airtable. Basically what's happening is that right now, my API isn't triggered to work with the new database we just created. So I'm just going to come into the Builder Hub. I'm going to hop into the working Airtable token. I'm just going to add a base to this. If I scroll all the way down to the idea generator base, I'm going to go ahead and click save. This should work now so that if I pop back over to make.com, and let me just go ahead and click refresh here. And now you can see we have this idea generator base all ready for us to go. Come down to table 1. And so what do I want to do? So the idea, we're going to take the idea from idea. The originator, we got to plug this back up to the webhook. So I'll do this in a sec. We likely actually won't even need the original text field because that's right here with the idea, but that's okay. I'll just put it in again for good measure. We can change this if we want. Research, going to come into the Perplexity module, grab the message, grab the content for the research. For the viral script, we're just going to connect this up to the viral script up top here. And the status, if we want to change the status, we can turn off map. It'll grab the status that we set up in our boards, and we can just say ready for review here. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So really quick, I'm just going to go ahead, drag this back over to webhook, link these back up here, auto-align everything. For our idea, instead of hard coding this in now, I can come in and grab the original text here. This is all set up and ready to go. Remember, we just removed the light bulb. And I just want to go ahead and type in AI automations for cool stuff. Really quick, I'm just going to unlink this, let this run once, send this over. You'll see why in a second. Oh, I forgot to type the light bulb. The most important part that actually triggers our automation. So AI automations for viral content creation. Now that we type that light bulb in, now if we come back to make, you can see this worked. Reason I did that is so I can set this all up. And if I come back into Airtable, create a record, our idea can still be the idea from here. And the originator, this is why I did this. We can come into username, this is me, just so that if you have a whole team working on this, you know who's working on it. So this is really great. We're pretty much good to go to run this. Let's just run this one time from the top. I'm going to click run once. You can see this is waiting for us to have an input. And if I come back into Slack, I can type the idea emoji, hit space. I can say how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Click OK. Come back into make here. You can see this is processing, created the prompt for Perplexity. Perplexity is doing the research. In Slack, this says hang tight while we generate your viral content. Really cool. This is going up into ChatGPT right now. It's basically creating our viral script for us. It's going to send the record over to Airtable. It's going to summarize the idea, all the research, and then it's going to create a message in Slack letting us know that our idea is ready for us to review. So let's just give this a second here while this cooks. Creating our viral script for us should be about another second. This is really, really powerful. Let me know in the comments how you think you would use something like this. It's really incredible how easily this works. Once we're done with this, I'm going to real quick show you how to set this up if you want to use voice memos instead. But I actually still really remember using text. That way it's an instant response instead of having to run this every 15 minutes or so. While it doesn't seem like a big idea, the instant response is nice. And if you're running this all the time, it actually is going to start to eat through your operations, whether or not, you're using them or not to return content. So here we go. It created our script. It logged this in Airtable. If we pop over to Airtable, you can see how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm just going to open this up. The originator is me. Here's the extra research. Gather the ingredients, prepare the bread, apply the peanut butter, apply jelly, combine the slices. Oh, additional tips to prevent sogginess. You can toast or griddle the bread before applying the peanut butter. Great. Here's our viral script. So making a peanut butter jelly sandwich might seem super simple, yada, yada, yada. This is all here for us. We can go ahead and edit this however we want. It changed the status to ready for review, and we're good to go. And if we pop back into Slack, you can see gather ingredients, spread peanut butter on one or both bread slices. This gave us a message summarizing the content we wanted to make. So the last thing we wanted to do right here is basically we just want to watch the private channel if we're trying to do this with voice messages. So I'm just going to go ahead and set that up real quick and just show you how to do it. Again, it's really, really simple. So if we want to do this, we can just go ahead, add a module, click Slack. And I actually have this in a public channel right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and click Watch Public Channel. The public channel is going to be our idea generator. We can click Limit to, that's fine. And we'll just do this from now on. Click OK. And then we're going to add another Slack module, and we're going to say, type in download, and this is going to download a file. And I'm just going to go ahead and record a message into Slack really quick, so that way we have something to grab. What are some of the best waffle makers you can buy right now? So I just went ahead and recorded that in Slack on my phone. I'm just going to drop this here. I'm going to run this once. I got to disconnect this really quick, just so I can go ahead and run this once. And you can see here that if we open up the output, this is the URL, the private download message for the voice memo we just created. So now if I plug this in, I can go ahead, come into files, come into URL private download, click OK. And the last thing we need here is to transcribe the audio. We can do that by coming into here, and we can just type in ChatGPT or click it. And what we want to do is if we just type in whisper, we want to create a transcription whisper. So this is just going to create a transcription from the text, and you don't even need to create a prompt for this. Basically, you just want to link it to the Slack download a file module and click OK. And so if we run this again, you can see there's no message because I didn't record another message in there. So let me just record one more message. We'll get this going. Who are the top 10 content creators on YouTube right now? Go ahead and click send. That's sent into Slack. Just going to go ahead and run this once. Download a file. You can see, here we go. Who are the top 10 content creators on YouTube right now? That's why I sent it. Again, now you can see how you could plug this into the rest of your flow. Basically, gather additional research using Perplexity AI, create our viral script, log this into Airtable, and send a Slack message back. So it's really up to you whether you want to be able to do this with a voice memo or with text. I, again, recommend doing it with text just because it's instantaneous response and you're not having to constantly run your scenario in make.com. It's only running when you're actually using it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you next time.